Hey guys, welcome to this video on how to implement the Google Maps CodeIgniter library. If you haven't come to this video from my website, you can get to it at biostool.com, and on there you can find information about the library. You can get a download of it, view documentation, and also some demonstrations on there for you to look at. What I've got today is I've got on the left a fresh install of CodeIgniter. You'll see I've put the Google Maps PHP library in the libraries folder. And on the right, what I would do is I will refresh the browser as I make updates to the code. This is a fresh install of CodeIgniter, so no extra controllers, no models, no nothing, just the standard controller and view and the library that we've downloaded. So the idea of today is to show you a very simple example. If I go to the demonstration section on my website, what we're going to try and achieve today is this. So it's a marker on a map, and that's literally it for this episode. I will do ones in the future where I'll go into more detail. Okay, so going back to CodeIgniter, let's open the view. Again, like I say, this is a default installation, so we will work from scratch. So to load the library first, what we do is this: load library. Anyone familiar with CodeIgniter will recognize this syntax. And the next thing we're going to do is, using this Google Maps, is we're going to initialize the map. That sets up variables, sets up the defaults for all the options that we can specify if we need to. The next thing to do is to create the actual map. Now what I'm doing here is I'm assigning the return to a variable. What gets returned is two things. We have the JavaScript in a JS variable and the map in a HTML variable. And when we come to do the view in a second, you'll probably see that in action. So again, anyone familiar with CodeIgniter will know that we can pass data to our view. So our view, in this case, welcome message. We're going to pass the return, in this case data, into that through the second parameter. And that's our standard, very basic controller done. What I'm then going to do is flip to the view. Again, this is the default one, so I'm just going to clear out all this extra stuff that we don't need, just leaving the head and the body. And in the head, I'm just going to echo map.js. You remember before in the controller we returned the return of the function to map. We passed that into our view, and now we're using that to do the JS bit of it. And map, the second bit's called HTML. So JS and HTML are just standard fixed naming conventions that you'll need to stick by. Okay, let's save that view, and if we refresh the browser on the right now, what we should get is the library. Yeah, perfect. It's using all the default options, so there's a default center, we've got a default zoom, default controls, everything like that. So that's all standard at the moment. Flipping back to the controller, I'm just going to show you how to customize this map a little bit. We do this before the initialize function, and what I'm going to do in this case is set up a config array, and this config array will be passed into the initialize function, and it just overwrites any defaults that are set in the library itself. So let's start by setting the center of the map, and let's go for Adelaide, Australia. If we save that and refresh the browser, there we go, it's centered on Adelaide. And we can also set, for example, the zoom. So again, config zoom equals, let's go for 19, let's go really zoomed in. There we go. Okay, with these config options, check the documentation for the whole list because there is absolutely hundreds. We can also, for example, set events. So one click equals, let's just do an alert for now. Hello world. Again, refresh the browser. So when we click the map, we get hello world. Anything you see in the Google Maps official API documentation you can do through the library pretty much. So that's our map done. And what I'm going to do next is add a marker. So we've initialized the map, now the map's in place, we then want to lay things on top of it. So in this case, we're going to do marker, and again, similar to above, we're going to set up a marker in the first place, and the marker actually gets added to the map when we do this. Google Maps, add marker, and as a parameter there, I'm going to pass the marker array that we're going to fill now. So similar to above, let's just set the position of the marker, and again, this can be a lat long coordinate or an address. It really doesn't matter. Let's go for the same as above, Adelaide, Australia. And when we save that, we'll refresh the right, and we should, fingers crossed, get a marker. There we go. All you do to repeat markers is simply copy and paste that as many times as you want. Let's just change some of these locations. So let's do Sydney. Let's go a bit mad and go to Florida, USA, and let's do London, UK. If we refresh the right, what you'll see is we only still get the Adelaide one, and that's because our zoom level is quite zoomed in on Adelaide. One pretty cool thing we can do is to set that to auto, and if I now refresh the browser, what'll happen is the map will zoom out enough to fit all the markers in. It's pretty handy if you don't know the zoom level that you want in the first place. Similar to the map, we can set loads of options on markers. So let's just do a example here. Again, let's do an event. Let's alert hello world. So when we click on the marker now, we should get an alert. There we go. And we can also do info windows. Sorry, info window content. An info window, refresh the right, and then when we click on the map, we get an info window. Again, check the documentation for both the library and Google Maps API for all the options here. There is loads of them that I simply don't have time to go into. And that's pretty much it for today. So we've set the map, we've set up a marker or markers, and we learned how to customize both the map and the markers. That will do for today. Check back in the future for more, and we'll go into a bit more detail. Cheers.